Friday, September 4th, 2020. Don't rub your eyes. Do not adjust your monitor or your device. I am not Gareth. He's off today. I've been asked to sub in for him as we head into this Labor Day long weekend. You're watching the Hub Online Network. I'm Barbara Roden, so let's get straight into what is making news in our area. COVID-19 count. We have not had... Oh. Right, okay. There we go.
And it's like you're back.
Okay, we're back. COVID-19 count. We're still awaiting today's numbers. The province's latest COVID-19 numbers show that on Wednesday, September 2nd, there were 104 new cases in British Columbia and a further 89 new cases on Thursday for a total of 6,041 cases in BC. There are 1,175 active cases of COVID-19 in the province, 2,801 people who are under active public health monitoring as a result of identified exposure to known cases, and 4,644 people who tested positive have recovered. Currently, 34 individuals are hospitalized with COVID-19, 11 of whom are in intensive care. The remaining people with COVID-19 are recovering at home in self-isolation. Since the start of the pandemic, there have been 2,012 cases of COVID-19 in the Vancouver Coastal Health region, 3,155 in Fraser Health, 178 in Island Health, 450 in the Interior Health region, 167 in the Northern Health region, and 79 cases of people who reside outside of Canada. There has been one new COVID-19 related death since Tuesday for a total of 210 deaths in BC. There have been no new community outbreaks, although there continue to be community exposure events. These events, which are primarily attended by younger people, have resulted in a drop in the median age of those who are testing positive for COVID-19 in BC to age 41. Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry says that as we look to the fall, now is the time to pause the activities that we know are a high risk to all of us, spending time with groups of people we don't know without taking personal precautions. Now is also the time to think about the number of contacts you have. There is no safe number, but fewer people is better. If you know you have more interactions ahead, for example, if you're returning to work, then it's a good idea to reduce your time with other contacts. Dr. Henry also has some advice heading into the long weekend. She says, this upcoming long weekend, choose to go small, to spend time with your household bubble instead of a group of strangers, and choose to use the layers of protection wherever you may go. We have the tools and we can make the right choices. To be successful in this next phase, we need to step back to safely move forward, so let's all make that choice that will keep our communities, our elders, our loved ones, and ourselves safe. Now, there's a lot of stress around COVID-19. The BC government has news on their website about managing COVID-19 stress, anxiety, and depression. For information and tips about how to stay healthy and calm, find reliable news, manage your stress, and much more, go to https://www.gov.bc.ca and look for Managing Your Health and Managing COVID Stress. We've got some news from the village of Cache Creek, and they are saying that they're going to replace the netting inside the coverall at the Cache Creek Recreational Park after receiving complaints from residents that birds are getting trapped and dying in the netting, which was placed to keep sports equipment from getting caught behind the plywood. Cache Creek Chief Administrative Officer Martin Dulsan says the plans include tearing down the netting and putting in another barrier, likely more plywood. However, he notes that work will have to wait until after the village has completed its flood recovery work. This weekend, the Ashcrofton District Lions Club will be at the Cache Creek Market on Saturday, that's tomorrow, to serve up delicious barbecued hamburgers and hot dogs while the market takes place between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Come on down to the market beside Chum's Restaurant and check out the wide array of vendors and merchandise on offer and help support the Lions and all that they do for our communities. Moving on to the village of Ashcroft, the province of BC has announced that the provincial and federal governments are providing funding to support construction of 55 new Level 2 electric vehicle charging stations around northern and central BC. And that's going to include 2 EV charging stations for Ashcroft and 2 for Logan Lake. It's part of the provincial Clean BC program and will support the Charge North initiative, which is constructing the 55 stations in partnership with 25 local governments and First Nations. This provincial and federal funding is the last piece of the funding puzzle after Northern Development Initiative Trust announced nearly $200,000 in funding for the project in January this year. Its expected construction on the Level 2 charging stations will start in spring 2021. Residents of Ashcroft can pick up their free water conservation kits from the village office during regular office hours, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to noon and 1 to 4 p.m. The kits contain a variety of water-saving devices, including a toilet tank bank, which is more fun than it sounds, a garden hose spray nozzle, low-flow shower and faucet adapters, and more. Now, the Ashcroft Pool is closing for the season on Sunday, September 6th, and the staff have put together the one and only Pool Fun Day for the year, which will take place on Saturday, September 5th from 1 to 4 p.m. and then again from 5 to 7 p.m. Now, the staff were determined to have one fun day this season. So they put their heads together and came up with all the fun, safe, physically distanced events they could think of. So come on down to the Ashcroft Pool to cool off, have some fun, and maybe win some prizes. Now, as of August 31st, there are no more videos or Guess the Artifacts features on the Ashcroft Museum Facebook page until next season. However, the museum will be open through September and into October for visits, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So come on down and see what's changed since the last time you visited. History might be in the past, but museums don't stay still. There's always something new to discover. Have to have some water here. Now, School District number 74 news. Students throughout School District 74 will be heading back to school next week. Half of the district students will be back in school for an orientation day on Thursday, September 10th. The other half will be in for orientation on Friday, September 11th. Regular classes for all students will commence on Monday, September 14th. Now, for more information about the district's back-to-school plan and COVID-19, go to http://www.sd74.bc.ca. For more information about your child's school's plans, go to that school's website. Now, we've had some news about the Spence's Bridge fast-charging electric vehicle station, and it's been announced that that fast-charging station, which is located on the grounds of the former Spence's Bridge Elementary School, will be closed and removed as of November 1st, as BC Hydro, the TNRD, and the Spence's Bridge Improvement District, which owns the site, have failed to renegotiate the lease agreement, which expires in February 2021. The Improvement District is asking BC Hydro to pay them a $15 per day fee for managing the station, and also asking them to install washroom facilities. While some in the community do not want the charging station to remain, the majority of residents appear to favor retaining it, and BC Hydro is still trying to negotiate a new arrangement which will see the station remain in Spence's Bridge. The Ministry of Transportation is installing a fast-charging EV station at the Red Hills Rest Stop on Highway 1 between Spence's Bridge and Ashcroft Manor, but this is separate from the BC Hydro arrangement in Spence's Bridge. Stay tuned for new developments. Now, one of the reasons for the focus on electric vehicle charging stations and the placing of these stations and having an extensive network of them throughout the province is important, given that regulations are now in place outlining how BC will reduce pollution and make the switch to 100% electric vehicle sales by 2040. So this means that in less than 20 years, every new car sold in BC will be a zero-emission vehicle powered by clean electricity. The regulations follow the Zero Emission Vehicles ZEV Act that was passed last year. Now, this ZEV Act requires automakers to meet increasing annual sales of EV vehicles, reaching 10% of new light-duty vehicle sales by 2025, so that's only 4 years away, 30% by 2030, and 100% by 2040. The new regulations sets phased-in annual targets and other compliance requirements, ensuring automakers increase the number and types of electric vehicles that they sell in BC to meet consumer demand. Now, EV sales in BC made up 9% of light-duty vehicle sales in 2019, as well as in the first half of this year. That's the highest sales rate in Canada. And as you heard, by 2040, that number is expected to be 100%. Now, the TNRD, the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, canceled their free waste disposal days this year, but they will be hosting a free household hazardous waste roundup in Cache Creek on Sunday, October 25th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the lower parking lot of the Cache Creek Community Hall by the Visitor Information Center. So this is a great chance to clear out all those old cleaners, chemicals, and unknown products from the garage, from under your sink, from the garden shed, wherever they happen to be lurking. Now, household hazardous waste is any waste from your home that's considered dangerous or which you have reason to believe could be hazardous. So some of the commonly accepted examples of hazardous waste includes paint, batteries, oil, antifreeze, flammables, poisons, corrosives, adhesives, grease, tar, gasoline, kerosene, pesticides, fertilizers, devices containing mercury, and pool or lab chemicals. You can also bring in any mystery items that have lost their labels. So if you've been clearing out your uncle's garden shed and find all sorts of jars of interesting looking liquids, you have no idea what they are, take them along to the Household Hazardous Waste Roundup and they'll be disposed of safely. Now, this event will comply with all BC Public Health Authority guidelines to mitigate the risk of COVID-19. Again, it's on October 25th, so you've got lots of time to start looking for all those undesirable substances you want to get rid of safely. For more information, call 1-877-377-2596 or email recycleright@tnrd.ca. Jessica, do you have any mystery items lurking under your sink?
No, I don't, because I actually don't use a lot of cleaners in the house.
Right.
So I probably don't. I may have some cooking oil that I could probably get rid of after deep frying a few things, but I think that's about it. And possibly some paint that probably should get gotten rid of.
Well, I know from talking to the TNRD in the past that the mystery items are really popular because people they're cleaning out like a relative shed or even your own shed, and you haven't looked around and you find these jars and you have no idea what's in them. And you know, you don't want to pour them down the sink or flush them down the toilet because that's wrong. And so what they do at the TNRD is, in the past anyway, they will actually, if you don't know what it is and they can't tell by sniffing it, they will test it and tell you what it is,
cool.
so that they know how to dispose of it. So normally they have them every year. Usually it's in the spring, so usually earlier than this. And they've decided to go ahead and they alternate in alternate years between Ashcroft and Cache Creek. They're also holding them in, I believe, Merritt and Kamloops as well on different dates. So you can check the TNRD website. If you missed the Cache Creek one, they will be holding other ones in the area. But start rounding up those mystery containers now. All right, so we move on. Another new grant has been announced. This is the Canada United Small Business Relief Fund. It aims to help small Canadian businesses with their recovery efforts as a result of COVID-19, and it is now accepting applications. The fund will be managed by the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. It does apply to BC as well. It's being administered on behalf of the National Chamber Network. And if awarded, a relief grant can be used by small businesses for purchasing personal protective equipment such as masks, face shields, latex gloves. It can be used for renovating your physical space to adhere to local, provincial, or federal reopening guidelines, or it can be used for developing or improving e-commerce capabilities for your business. Successful applicants will receive a relief grant of up to $5,000. You can learn more about the program and eligibility criteria at bit.ly/3G capital U I G capital G Y. And it was really exciting to see that all our libraries reopened recently. I'm a big champion of libraries. They're not places where people with glasses sit around going shh all the time. There's lots going on in your libraries, and now they're reopened and we can go back in, see some of the great things that libraries have to offer. And the Thompson-Nicoll Regional Library has released its plans for fall programs and events, saying that there will be something for everyone, from early literacy programs to book clubs for all ages. Now, most of these programs will be virtual, but a limited number will be hosted in person following strict safety guidelines, so check with your local branch to see what they're doing. There will be the ever-popular Parent-Child Mother Goose program returning virtually, along with a registered Tiny Toons program, virtual story time, and 2 Take and Make craft programs, one for Halloween and one for Christmas. This summer's Take and Make project was a DIY dragon, and it was apparently incredibly popular. All materials are supplied. The library's Tween Book Club and Dungeons and Dragons groups will also resume virtually in October. There will be popular adult programs returning as well, with virtual, teleconference, and in-person options available depending on the location. Books and Brews, the casual theme-based book club that usually meets at local restaurants, will be moving online for the fall. From September 3rd to the 17th, the Thompson-Nicoll Regional Library will join nearly 2,000 public libraries and thousands of readers across Canada, offering patrons access to the latest Together We Read Canada digital book club selection, which is Canadian author Missy Marston's Bad Ideas. If you want to join in this, between the 3rd and the 17th of September, you can access the ebook and the e-audiobook for free with no holds or wait lists through the library, then participate in an online discussion with other TNRD residents hosted by library staff. Computer classes, tech talks, and the popular one-on-one tech help sessions will also be offered virtually, which makes sense for tech help sessions. For more information and updates, check out www.tnrl.ca, tnrlblog.ca, or contact your local library. So we're heading back to school. It's a brave new world, lots of uncertainty about this, and lots of changes to the way school is going to look this year. And while all the students in School District 74, as reported, will be back in school full-time on the 14th of September, it's expected that there will be varying degrees of online learning offered. So with this in mind, the Better Business Bureau is encouraging everyone to make online safety a priority and avoid being easy targets for fraudsters, with more and more kids being online for longer times. So their first tip: keep track of your child's activities online. Know what your child is doing online. Keep track of the social media sites and accounts they're accessing. Children, I know this is hard to believe, but children have been known to create online accounts using false information like fabricated birth dates in order to meet the minimum age requirement for a site without understanding the risk. Some of these platforms are ripe with ill-intentioned strangers. Others are designed to collect and sell unauthorized user details and behaviors to advertisers. Consider using parental controls if necessary to help with the monitoring. Another tip: warn children about entering contests and giveaways online. Generally speaking, the entry forms for these competitions collect an awful lot of personal information. However, there are many instances where scammers manipulate them to collect personal or financial information that could lead to identity theft. Make sure your child does not have access to banking or credit card information, and supervise them if they're filling out any forms. Also, remove any credit card numbers stored on devices your child will be actively using. Don't click on strange links. Adults aren't the only ones who receive spam and junk mail. Kids often get it too. Since they don't have much online experience, they may innocently click on links and answer questions that share private information with the wrong people. Have conversations with your children about how to treat unknown emails that contain links and attachments. Double-check downloads. Many websites allow children to download free media. However, kids might not realize these sites often come with the risks of downloading a virus, allowing identity thieves to access the gaming device, personal computer, or even the cell phone that's being used. From there, the cyber thief can track financial transactions, physical locations, or even tap into the household Wi-Fi without anyone knowing it. Share with care. Help children understand that any information they share online can easily be copied and it's almost impossible to take back. Talk to them about who might see a post and how it might be perceived in the future, and show them how anything they do online can positively or negatively impact other people. Sharing personal information can also give online thieves an idea of what login information or passwords might be used for banking accounts or other online accounts. So we move on to Art Route Blue. This is a new project from the Gold Country Community Society. Now, new artwork seems to pop up in Ashcroft on a regular basis. One day a building will have a blank wall. The next day, it's occupied by a vibrant piece of artwork created by one of the many magnificent artists living in our area. Now, the most recent artwork to go up in Ashcroft is a piece by longtime local artist and resident Royden Josephson as part of Gold Country's Art Route Blue. The Hub Online Network was there earlier today for the unveiling of the piece and spoke with some of those involved.
When faced with adversity or crisis, there are those who react and those who respond. During a time when schools, businesses, facilities, and events were closing and many had to begin working from home, a call out was placed to artists to come together digitally to work cohesively on a project to connect the communities in a safe and welcoming manner. This is a cooperative movement that is timely in bringing people together in a creative and inclusive path. The Sunflower Project is one component of a movement of art. Art Route Blue is an alliance of many people, businesses, organizations, and artists supporting a creative recovery. Many pieces of public art will be appearing from the group of Blue. We are proud to install one of these works with Royden Josephson's piece. We are so pleased the first business jumped in to create a home for one of the pieces in the route. Gold Country is pleased with the success of the Sunflower collaboration, and we hope to fill our regional area with more local and regional exchanges of artwork. This art route is led by the award-winning artist Michelle Lockery, Art Route Blue.
And we're so excited to kick off the Sunflower Project here at the Central Cafe with a beautiful home for Royden Jefferson. I think it's appropriate that a retired teacher who actually taught my children kick off the Sunflower Project, because they are our frontline workers, and all the parents and the teachers of the world are getting a little excited now and antsy and all that kind of good stuff, sending their kids to school, and whether they're going to and whether they're going to not to. So as these frontline teachers come to the table, Royden comes with this beautiful piece to kick off our Sunflower Project. So we're really excited. So we just want to ask other businesses to support the project by offering a wall. We got pieces coming. Joe Petty's here today, and she's got another piece. She's going to get going on here real soon, and so we have another piece of art coming to follow, and many more pieces, many more communities across the province, and hopefully many walls will have the art of the Sunflower Project and stuff. So exciting day. This is day one of the launch of the Sunflower Project right here in Ashcroft.
I'm Royden Josephson. I'm standing in front of a painting that I did that Joe Petty made me do, because about February she was having me help her bring some big pieces of plywood into her studio. I asked her what they were for, and she told me about this project called Indigenous Blue, and all the artists around were supposed to paint an 8 by 8 foot mural, and it should be blue. And I thought, oh, I could do that. That sounds like a good thing to do during a pandemic lockdown. So I started working on it in about March. Started in my little studio at home on 4 pieces of 4 foot by 4 foot canvas, which grew too big to fit in the studio. So when I had my show at the Sidewalk Extension Gallery, Angela Bendelli was good enough to let me finish it up there where I could put the whole thing together and complete it. And then in the last couple of days, Harley's, Auguste, who owns this building, gave me permission. I said it was okay to install the painting here, and so this morning, with the help of Angela and Daniel and Marina, we got it up, and there it is.
Join us as we continue this journey to showcase artists, businesses, and communities along the art route. For more information on adopting or sponsoring a work of art in this creative, social, and economic endeavor, please contact me, Executive Director Marcy Down of Gold Country Community Society. I can be reached at goldcountry@telus.net. Phone number is 778-207-9100. Thank you.
So you can go check out that wonderful piece of artwork on Railway Avenue on the side of the Central Cafe, created by Royden Josephson, whose work has been on display in the Sidewalk Gallery across the street for the last couple of months, and is also on display in other locations around Ashcroft. Spend a fun couple of hours having a search for it. Now, before we continue, we've just had today's numbers in COVID cases. The province is announcing since yesterday a further 121 people have been announced as diagnosed with COVID-19. And sadly, there has been one new COVID-19 related death for a total of 211 deaths in the province of British Columbia. And along with the province and Dr. Henry, we offer our condolences to everyone who has lost their loved ones during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we move on from that to something a little bit lighter, fruits and veggies. We're all being told we have to eat more fruits and veggies. It's really easy at this time of year when our local markets are absolutely bursting with bounty. But you might be wondering what to do with all of that in order to keep it over the fall and into the winter and maybe even next spring. Now, one of my favorite things this time of year to eat is fresh grown local cantaloupe, but there is only so much cantaloupe I can eat in a given day. So rather than stock up and see it go to waste, I found a couple of years ago a great and easy way to enjoy cantaloupe and other melons all year round, and it's simple. Just freeze it. All you have to do is cut your cantaloupe in half, scoop the guts out of it, and then cut each half into wedges that are about 1 inch thick at the widest portion. Take the rind off, then cut the wedges into good-sized chunks, lay them out on baking trays, pop them in your freezer. As soon as they're frozen, just store them in bags in the freezer and pull them out whenever you want. They're great to use in smoothies, and they're great to use, just put in a bowl and eat them like candy. Like grapes when they freeze to make ice wine, the cantaloupe, the freezing really increases and concentrates the sugar so they come out even sweeter. Now, as I say, you can do this with other types of melons, probably watermelon as well. I've never tried that. I do it with cantaloupe because that's my favorite, but give it a try.
You can also dehydrate. So I've dehydrated watermelon and cantaloupe, and it just turns into candy pretty much.
So does it concentrate the sugar that's already in the fruit?
Yeah, because it takes all the water out.
Right.
So then it's just the sugar deliciousness. So yeah, the watermelon has been the best. The cantaloupe, I don't know if it was, I haven't tried any this season with cantaloupe season. I tried one that wasn't necessarily in season and it wasn't the greatest. But the watermelon that I've done from Desert Hills is like it's like chips actually. It's watermelon chips.
Now, do you have to take the seeds out before you do it?
Or
do you get the seedless ones?
I got a seedless one for watermelon. Yeah.
Well, another thing is vegetables, and I mean, I know you can pickle them, you can make them into like salsas and things like that, but I mean, I've never canned or pickled anything, and every year I think maybe this is the year I should do salsa, and then I never do. But with vegetables, I found a great way online, and that is you take your vegetables, and it seems to work hard. The only ones I've tried it with so far are broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. And you just chop the broccoli or cauliflower into florets, not too huge. The carrots, I just took the skin off, chopped them into rounds, and then you just put them in boiling water and blanch them for 1 to 2 minutes. And you have to, I found out more about enzymes than I ever thought I'd find out, which is that if you don't cook them first, if you don't cook them for a minute or two, blanch them, the enzymes start to break down. And that's what you lose the color, you lose the flavor, you lose the nutrients. So by blanching it and then immediately putting it into cold water, ice water, to stop the cooking, that preserves the enzymes. Again, you spread them out on a baking tray, freeze them, bag them, and you're good to go. So have you ever tried that with any vegetables?
I do freeze vegetables occasionally, yeah. I did corn. I bought a bunch of corn, and of course there's only 3 of us, so we didn't eat it all. So it was cooked, so I just took it off the cob and threw it in the freezer. And now I can just take it out. It's already cooked. I can just make a corn salad with it or just heat it up.
Yep. Another one I found was zucchini, because I don't know if we're quite there yet at peak zucchini, but we soon will be, where you won't be able to give away zucchini. And I think a lot of people use them, especially for baking. And so a good way I found was to take your zucchini and scoop the guts out if you don't want that stuff from the middle, and then shred it fairly coarsely. And then again, blanch it for about a minute, drain it, pat it dry, and freeze it. And then it's already julienne ready to go.
Good to go. Another good tip with that is to actually pre-measure, so that if you know you've got recipes that require a cup of zucchini, put it in a cup, because it'll be a different size after you thaw it.
Right. Oh, that's good. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
So it's a great idea if you're out at one of the markets at Hastings or Desert Hills or anywhere else, and you see all these great vegetables, and you think, wow, I'd love to stock up, but I don't have a root cellar, because very few people do these days. That's a couple of ways that you can preserve some of that summery goodness all year round, and with the cantaloupe especially, you can have a little taste of sunshine in the winter.
Hint, hint, if anybody wants to get Barbara some fruit.
Yes, I went and I got 2 dozen cantaloupes, and so yes, my kitchen counter was quite sticky for a little while on my hands. Even after thoroughly washing my hands, I still smelled like cantaloupe. I smelled like I'd been using cantaloupe soap, basically, which is one thing I have not tried for cantaloupe, but I'm sure others have. It smelled quite nice, so there's a thought. If you're a soap maker out there, cantaloupe,
right.
Try it. There's lots of them around right now. Well, we are coming up to Labor Day. That means a lot of people are going to be on the road. I know we haven't had the out-of-province, out-of-country visitors this year, but a lot of British Columbians seem to have picked up the slack. They've been taking the opportunity to do a lot of driving. Labor Day is a long weekend, obviously. Lots of people will be hitting the road for the last long weekend of the summer. And ICBC is asking you to make sure that you do your part to drive safely. And they say that every Labor Day long weekend, approximately 4 people die and 600 people are injured in 2,100 crashes throughout the province. So they say the key to sharing the road safely is to stay focused on your driving and look out for the road users around you. Avoid distractions that will take your eyes off the road and your mind off driving. Police across BC are cracking down on distracted drivers in September as part of this month's enforcement and education campaign, and the fines are pretty hefty. In fact, ICBC recently released some statistics about people using their phones while driving and getting tickets, and they found that since the distracted driving fines were implemented 10 years ago, there are 10 drivers in the province who have received 10 or more distracted driving tickets.
What's going to stop them? Killing someone. Killing someone might send them the lesson that they need to stop looking at their phone.
And it was interesting because we have a new detachment commander here for the RCMP, and he was saying that in his time in Ashcroft, sort of looking around, the 2 things he noticed that drivers here do or don't do, they do talk on their phone or use their phone while driving a lot. And this is obvious. I mean, he's not standing there beside car windows peering in. So people aren't even being discreet and putting it on their lap or on their seat. These are people who are, driving along like this. The thing people don't do, he said, and this really surprises me, is don't wear their seatbelts. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you. If I get in my car and I'm just moving it off my driveway and I may be turning it round to load something in, I put my seatbelt on. Yeah. I'm driving it 10 feet out of my drive. I feel weird.
It feels weird not having a seatbelt on. You do it right away.
Yeah. It's second nature. I get in the car and as soon as the door closes, I'm putting the seatbelt on. So I guess I can kind of see the distracted driving, but the seatbelt, I don't understand that.
Well, I don't understand the distracted driving either, because there's so many options out there to have hands-free devices. I mean, if you are someone who talks on the phone on a regular basis while you're in the car, spend $50 and get a Bluetooth headset. That's got to be cheaper than getting a fine every time you get pulled over.
Or getting distracted.
You know, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've got Bluetooth in my car. It connects automatically, and I can do it all, which is nice. But I don't talk very often on my phone. But if the phone rings, I can do everything hands free.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I'm not on the phone all that much unless I'm at the office. But if I do get a phone call on my phone while I'm driving, it comes through the speakers, the radio speakers. It cuts out whatever's on there, and I can talk. And you know, sometimes I'll say I'm driving.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not comfortable doing this right now. I'll call you when I get to where I'm going.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah.
But ICBC does have some tips for the long weekend driving, and the first one is about taking a break from your phone while you're driving. Turn it to silent, keep it out of reach, keep it out of sight. I've heard people say, put it in your trunk if you have to, if you're too tempted to reach for it when you hear that ping. So you can help keep yourself, your family, your friends, everyone else on the road safe by not texting, calling, or answering if you know that they're behind the wheel. So that's interesting. If you know that someone is driving, like someone's coming to see you over the Labor Day weekend, don't be phoning them to say, where are you? No. You know, I'm 10 miles north of where I was when you called me 5 minutes ago or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. So allow at least 2 seconds of following distance between vehicles in good road conditions. And that's another one, good road conditions. Remember, the speed limits are for ideal road conditions only. If it's not ideal, and this weekend is supposed to be nice, but you never know, you know, slow down.
And that's a telephone pole length, right? Like
Yep.
so you should be passing a telephone pole when the next car's passing the next telephone pole. That's a good indicator, because there's usually telephone poles. That's what I use anyway. I think that's 2 seconds.
Yeah, or use a, pick something obvious by the side of the road, like a street sign, a speed limit sign or something, and time in your head too. And they're saying 2 seconds, 3 seconds if it's a high speed road, because we forget there are some roads like that stretch between 70 mile and 100 mile that's 110. And
like that stretch
people are going. They're going faster than 110, let's just put it that way. So it's a 3 second rule there. Make sure you increase your distance when you're following a large vehicle like an RV, which can block your vision, or a truck. And the rule I've heard there is stay back. If you cannot see both wing mirrors on the driver's side and the passenger side, you are too close. And in fact, when I was in taking driving lessons many, many years ago, my driving instructor called them billboards. Anything like that you get, big trucks, campers, anything that you get too close to, he said, that's a billboard, stay back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and also watch out for motorcycles, because they can be deceptive only with that one headlight. And they also, they stop faster than a car can, and you really have to watch out for motorcyclists, especially, and if you see one, watch out for others, because they often travel in groups. So that's a good rule of thumb. Trucks and RVs, again, keep clear of their blind spots. Recently, there was a story of someone who tried to pass a semi-trailer in the Snake Pit north of Lytton, which is barely wide enough for two vehicles at the best of times, tried to stop and actually got stuck between the truck and the no post beside the river.
Gosh.
So it's a good thing the no post was there, or the car would have been in the river. So don't get in their blind spots. They can't see you, and it is extremely dangerous. And check road conditions, www.drivebc.ca before you leave. Make sure that you're realistic about your travel times. Don't try and set any speed records, and accept delays that might arise. This is a big one on road construction. People get really annoyed at road construction, and the thing that I've talked to road construction people about is just remember, this road construction you're stuck in this year, next year it's going to make the road so much better when you drive it. So be patient. Don't rush to make up time. Slow down. It'll reduce your risk of crashing, and it'll help you to arrive at your destination safely. And you'll also save fuel by driving at a steady speed. And so that takes us to slowing down, not trying to set any speed records. And a lot of people try and drive from point A to point B, and they know that we're going from, say, Ashcroft to Prince George, and that should take 5 to 5.5 hours. And you don't want to do anything that's going to decrease that time, but it can be really easy to miss interesting things along the route that are well worth checking out. And a case in point is the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church, which is located to the west of Highway 97 between Macleys Lake and Alexandria. Now, a few weeks ago, I wrote an article about New Pathways to Gold Society and how they recently got grant funding to aid in the marketing of the historic Caribou Wagon Road. And I went searching for some pictures to use, and I found one of a lovely little white church with a red roof located near Fort Alexandria. So I used that picture of the church, which is located beside the site of the Caribou Wagon Road, and I didn't think anything more of it until last week when I was driving from Ashcroft to Prince George to visit my son. As I flew along the highway, observing all posted speed limits, north of Macleay's Lake, I spotted a flash of red on my left, and I turned my head to see the church, nestled among some pine trees about 100 meters from the highway. I found a spot to turn around and retrace my steps. A road, which is aptly named Church Road, led right to the church, and I got out to take some pictures. Now, the path to the front door showed that someone had recently walked through the weeds, so I approached the front door and gingerly tried the handle. Somewhat to my surprise, it opened, and so did the door from the vestibule, revealing a small, tidy church with sunlight streaming into it. Now, there was a notice posted on the wall, and it said the church was built in 1940 with donated timber and help, and closed in 1960 after a landslip further to the north caused Highway 97, which followed the old Caribou Wagon Road right past the church, meant that the highway had to be rerouted to the east. The church is in a beautiful location overlooking the Fraser River, and on the day we were there anyway, it was incredibly peaceful with just the wind and the pine trees. This church is being restored by the grade 6-7 students at St. Anne's Catholic School in Quesnel, along with the Knights of Columbus. A small cemetery beside the church contains 7 graves dating back to 1956, and there's a guest book for visitors to sign inside the church. Now, Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church is just one of the many places along BC's roads and highways that's worthy of a visit, so plan a few stops before you go, or be adventurous, and don't hesitate to pull off and try something new. So finally, a little bit more about travel from the olden days, long before our modern highway system was in place to whisk us from point A to point B. Now, the earliest known photograph from this region was taken by Frederick Daly in 1867, and it shows 2 wagons descending into Cache Creek along the Caribou Wagon Road. The building in the center of the picture, showing Bonaparte House Hotel, sits about where the entrance to the Sage and Sands Mobile Home Park is today. Now, Daly was a well-known photographer, and he took many photographs along the Caribou Wagon Road in 1867 and 1868. The most famous and most recognizable is probably the one he took of a team coming along the wagon road through the split rock north of Spence's Bridge on what's on now Highway 1. Other photographs he show the wagon road at Jackass Mountain, which is a far cry from the current highway. Another one shows where China Bar Tunnel is now located. Another one shows Alexandra Lodge. One is taken 17 miles above Yale. And another one is taken 1 mile above Yale. Now, they do show that travel then was a lot more arduous than it is now, so remember that when you get held up by a slow-moving vehicle or some roadworks. Now, a photograph from 1901, wasn't taken by Daly, shows a CP train tunnel just above Yale. These historic photographs are a wonderful window into the past, and quite a few of them thankfully survive. But there's very little film footage from the turn of the last century, when moving pictures were in their infancy. However, one 90-second piece of film, the oldest known footage of the interior of BC, survives. The title card at the beginning says that it was taken in 1902, but it was actually filmed on October 28, 1899, and shows a section of the CP main line beside the Fraser River north of Yale. It's grainy and a bit jerky, but it's a miracle that it survived, showing a stretch of rail line that probably looks the same now as it did 121 years ago. One thing that isn't the same are the 3 or 4 people scrambling away from the rails on the left as the train emerges from a tunnel. They're long gone, and we have no idea who they were. But on October 28, 1899, they were outside a train tunnel near Yale, and they were captured for posterity. Here it is. Well, that's all for me for today, from me for today. So thanks to the Hub Online Network for allowing me to fill in for Gareth, who should be back next week. Don't forget to tune in Tuesday, September the 8th at 3 o'clock, the Hub Online Network. And in the meantime, Mary Grace Trill, if you're watching, stay safe, have a great day, and have a great long weekend. Take care.